This lighting and angle are kind of crazy, but we're gonna work with it. So it's currently Monday at 6 p.m. I didn't vlog over the weekend because... and I didn't do so much reading. However, I did start a third book. I was in the mood for a romance. Picked up Roomies by Christina Lauren, not Lauren Oliver. I started this on Saturday, read a couple chapters, read a lot of it Sunday night. I was up until like 2 reading this. Today I made my way through some of this while I was bored on lunch break and had downtime at work. I'm on page 319 out of 350. This book follows a girl named Holland who lives in New York City, and her uncle is a really famous Broadway producer, writer person, and they have a really huge show going on. One day she meets this guy who plays guitar in the subway named Calvin. She wants him to be part of that orchestra from that musical. She finds out that he's actually in America illegally, so in order for him to be eligible to be in the orchestra for the musical, he and Holland get into a fake marriage so he can do that role, and it's all about what happens from there. It's a romance book, so 2 + 2. I need to get my hair cut, but I'm a weenie and I don't want to. Shave it, you coward. I do have a books I bought update because I don't know if you were aware of a thing called library bookstores, but they are magical, beautiful places, and you need to find one and go to it. They have either donated or used to be old library books, and they're for sale for like $1. Usually I find like one thing I'm kind of looking for, and the rest is just stuff I'm getting because it's like $1 and I can't pass it up, which is a very horrible buying model. Don't do that. This time I found not one, but 2 books that are on like my highest priority TBR, and I could yell. So the first book out loud when I saw this book, I went, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Every person on BookTube who reads non-YA is freaking out about this book. It is so many of my friends' favorite book of the year. It has just taken the book world by storm, and everyone has said that you should read it, and I found it for $4. I almost bought this for myself for my birthday, and I'm so glad I didn't because I was blessed. This book is about a Cuban woman who lives in Hollywood, I believe. She invites a reporter to come do a story about her, and she like comes clean to the world about her life, but this just is a backstory of her life that fleshes out her character, and I'm definitely gonna read this summer. The second book that I found at that bookstore is also one of the highest books on my TBR. That book is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid, which is a book about 2 characters, I believe teenagers even? 2 young people who live in a war-torn country at civil war. It's a very brutal reality for them every day, but they have each other. They find this doorway that will help them escape. I don't know if that's a metaphor for anything or if it's actually like magical. I have heard endless good things about this book. It's so gorgeous. I've had it on my wish list for a while, and I cannot wait to read this. The next book I got was And the Mountains Echoed by Khaled Hosseini. If you just watched my last vlog, you know I finished my second book by him, A Thousand Splendid Suns. I adore his writing style. I adore the stories he crafts. They're all about characters from Afghanistan dealing with war and personal relationships, and I think they're all so well woven and intricately crafted. It says this is a multi-generational novel about 2 motherless siblings, so this sounds like it's going to be a lot about familial relationships and watching these characters grow over their lifetime, and I am so excited to read these. The next book I got is Being Jazz, My Life as a Transgender Teen by Jazz Jennings. This is her memoir / autobiography about coming out as trans and growing up trans. She's a very young person to be transitioned and in the public spotlight as a transitioned young adult. So I know she's garnered a lot of attention because of that. I hope that she will be a good spokesperson for the community and she can shed some light on what it's like to grow up trans. Bearing in mind, I will be looking into reviews to see if this has any harmful material. This next book I was so excited to see. It's The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skritsky. All I know about this book is that it is sci-fi and there is a female-female relationship. Sci-fi is not my favorite genre at all. I'm gonna put our differences aside. I'm gonna try this one because I really want to support femme/relationships in YA, especially non-contemporary books, and this is one that was highly recommended to me. The final book that I got is a classic, Judy Moody. I cannot remember if I read these when I was a kid, but I'm sure I must have, right? I'm just on an adventure to revisit some childhood classics like Junie B. Jones and this and Phantom Stallion. I just remember this is something I would see all the time, and I can't remember if I ever read it or if it was just something that was popular when I was a kid, but either way, I'm just looking forward to see what this story is all about. That's all the books I have and my camera's gonna die, so goodbye. Here's the situation. I intend on flying to Atlanta tomorrow to see Sarah from Sarah Without an H, who I haven't seen in 2 years, but I love dearly. So the way that I fly as someone that works at American Airlines is I basically fly standby. So I just did my check-in. This is not about reading, I'm just being anxious right now on the vlog because I need to vent. So tonight I had to check in 24 hours in advance to get a seat, and there were 15 non-revenue passengers, including me, and 9 seats on the airplane. I'm so scared I'm gonna sit middle seat. For the sake of me and people who sit on either side of me, we all know I'm fat. We all know it's gonna be a rough 2 hours if that happens. I don't want a middle seat. Anyway, that was a tangent we did not need to go on, but your girl is freaking out. I finished some books since we last talked. I finished Roomies by Christina Lauren, which I said I would update how I liked it, and then I didn't. Here's my new Here's my new tagline about reading romance. If I read a romance book and the romance side of it was satisfactory, then the book fulfilled its job. Like, I'm not gonna be mad about a romance book having good romance. At the same time, I'm so picky with other things that 3 stars is a good rating to say, hey, this book was romantic and fine, but not a stellar book. And Roomies was a 3-star book. The romance was fine. Not weird, not gross, just the right amount of cute and steamy. The characters actually talk to each other. Whenever there's an issue, they don't go sulk about it and be like, ugh, I wonder why she would do that. Instead, one of the characters will just be like, hey, wanna post up? They actually discuss things to one another, which I think is really mature and a good change of pace from a lot of romance books. The plot around it was a little murky. One of the issues I had with this was that it just wasn't quite plausible. For a book that was about them like doing an illegal marriage and being in an illegal relationship, it had very low stakes throughout the entire story, and the plot was very cyclical around they'd get drunk, they'd go to the theater, they'd have a fight, they'd make up, they'd have sex, repeat. This might be a spoiler, but their first sex scene was so anticlimactic, pun intended. I know this book was trying to tear down some glamour around relationships in books. It's supposed to be like not perfect. I kind of want that fictional burst of fate and destiny and first moments being special, so I felt so let down. My lasting impression of it after a few days is just like, it was okay. If you like Broadway in New York City, you might give it a shot, but it's really not so much focused on that because the main character who narrates the book isn't even a actress or anything, she's just kind of there. Gave this book a solid 3 stars. Then I picked up an audiobook because I needed something to listen to on my 2-hour total commute to and from work, as well as when I put on makeup in the morning. Check that eyeliner. Nice. I read An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield. This book is actually not a guide to being on Earth because it's about an astronaut. Chris Hadfield got famous because NASA has a YouTube channel. He would go on and just do like the most mundane videos, like how astronauts wash their hair. And you'd think like, who cares? But have you seen it? Okay, here's the thing. My #1 illogical fear in the entire universe is outer space. I will never be required to go there, probably, but you could not pay me to go through that training and to go to space because I'm terrified. Like, even just looking at the sky too long or watching a movie like Interstellar, I'm like, I would rather chop off a foot. So watching these videos, I find it super fascinating, and I don't know why because I'm terrified of it. One of the main faces on these videos was Chris Hadfield, so I knew his name from that, decided to pick up this book because I own it. This was a pretty fun book. It was all about his training traveling and what he did in space. This book was such a cool adventure. I knew a little bit of it going into it, having watched those YouTube videos, and for a book that's about space and spaceships and being a scientist and like someone who has years of classes and experience and training to go to that level, it's surprisingly not too weighed down by the jargon. I think it's an interesting memoir if you want to learn more about space, or you like Chris Hadfield, or whatever the case may be. I particularly really liked the section where he talked about how he manages his fear, because like I just said, space sounds terrifying. And one of the biggest questions he said he gets is, how do you deal with nerves and fear and thinking you're gonna die? And he gives a lot of really genuine advice about being prepared and staying pessimistic in a way that's good for you. I don't know if that made sense, but I do think it was a lot of translatable advice for when you're on Earth, because obviously all of us listening to it are on Earth. But he gets really good advice about being a good leader and being reliable and all that good fun stuff. So I do think there's a good takeaway from this book. I did start a book on Kindle. I don't know if we discussed it, but I will discuss it with you now. So the book I'm currently reading on Kindle, it's called Trade Me by Courtney Milan, which is a book I've been recommended so many times about healthy romance and feminist books and diverse new adult literature. So this book is about a character named Tina, who's Chinese American, or a daughter of Chinese immigrants. She and her family are poor, so she is just scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to make it through college. And one day she gets into an argument with a boy in her class named Blake, who is a billionaire because his father owns a tech company that he's going to take over. They get to discussing like food stamps and class. She poses the sentence to him, "You wouldn't last one day in my shoes." Lo and behold, Blake tells her after class, like, let's trade places. I want to see what it's like. I think I'm just over halfway through the book. Don't have any major issues with the book. I love how diverse it is. There's a side character who's trans. So far so good. It's just kind of your typical new adult. The writing isn't spectacular. The characters aren't wowing me. For the most part, I think it's smooth sailing. There's just a couple parts of the plot where I'm like, it feels like it's hitting big plot points and just skipping everything in between, so it doesn't feel really fleshed out. Like, for example, they switched houses and there's a whole scene about the guy moving into her apartment with like no running water and their electricity is broken, and there's no scene of her moving into his apartment. So it feels very weighted toward the guy being educated on this girl's life and not so much about the girl learning what it's like to live a life of luxury. Hopefully I will finish that before I go to Sarah's. If not, I'll probably finish it on the plane. Let's be real, I'm probably gonna be journaling and crying on the plane in my middle seat where I don't fit. That was a really long clip. I'ma go. If you don't know, I bought this book called The Tallow-Mere Annual by Keaton Henson, which is a huge book. And if you open it, this book literally has a headphone jack in it. So this is a book of Keaton's poetry and art. I'm gonna give you a reaction because this is a never been heard before soundtrack. I don't know, it's probably gonna be instrumental music. We shall see though. Pressing the play button now. Oh wait, it's off. On. Stop texting me. It's like nature noises almost, with like orchestra in the background. So far so interesting. I'll let you know how it goes when I'm done. Okay, it's like maybe 20 minutes later. I finished it. It's bittersweet because on one hand, I love Keaton Henson. Like, his music is so meaningful to me and I adore him. I would say there's a trajectory to the story, but I need him to explain it to me. You can definitely pick up on the theme and the mood of this. His writing, although beautiful, offers very little supplement to what's actually happening. As far as the soundtrack that went with it, I'm so astounded that the quality was so low. For a little bit I was like, maybe it's just this track and it was meant to sound like that, but it honestly sounded like a 360p YouTube video. It was so grainy and like you could hear the static, and it wasn't for aesthetic. It was like actually just bad audio. So that was a bummer, even though it was pretty. So now to recover from reading eloquent, beautiful stuff. I was gonna say I'm gonna start my ebook, but I have to go pack. I'm gonna pack, then read my ebook. Maybe I'll listen to my audiobook as I pack. I love being an intellectual. Y'all recognize this? I made it to Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta for 24 hours and haven't vlogged at all because we've just been chilling. There's been lots of dogs and I've been petting them and giving them all my attention. Also, Sarah like never wears pants and I fell. Is there a dog? Come love me. Hello. Where are you going, sir? It's a Chino.
No, like a makeup or not?
See, I wish I could show you Sarah right now, but she's definitely not wearing pants. We're about to drunk film literacy. I'm not even drunk and I can't say words. Do you want to be on camera because you're not wearing pants?
Yeah, it's okay.
There's Sarah.
They saw my undies for a sec.
What?
Hope your video doesn't get too on top.
I don't understand what you're saying. You're like, I
said they saw my undies for a sec.
We went and got lunch today with Austin, who's another booktuber. I didn't film because I'm just the worst. So instead of picture here, I got subscribed to Austin and Sarah, I suppose, since I'm staying at your house for free.
True, but I don't charge my friends to stay over.
Watch me like leave tomorrow at 7 a.m. You're like, okay, that'll be
$35.
What else did we do today? We just watched Queer Eye.
Queer Eye, and then took a nap.
They're gonna be like, what'd you do on your adventure? I'd be like, well, I slept.
She had never seen Queer Eye, and the second season just came out, so I was about it. I really believe I think we watched at least 5 episodes.
Probably. We slept through like half of one. So maybe
yeah, that guy who likes to go to Burning Man. And on video, I just want you to try 1 sip of my champagne.
Oh, okay, fine.
Just 1 sip on camera.
Okay.
Wait, you've tried alcohol before, right?
No.
What? We gotta have a first here. You're gonna have to go to my channel to see it. Hello, Bolly. What are you doing? I got some lovers. It's okay, he's shaking because there's thunder. It's okay, bud.
I made it back to my own bed. Update. I ended up making it on both flights, no issue. I got aisle seats both times. God bless. I was in Atlanta for like 33 hours. It was so fun. I loved meeting Sarah and Austin. I'm sorry I didn't film more. I assumed I would get there and be like, yeah, collab, yeah, booktube was so much fun. But it was honestly so chill. I just wanted to hang out there like I was her friend. We did a video for her channel, but I didn't film anything for this channel. Hope that's okay. Sarah, if you're watching this, thank you for letting me crash. I did not end up reading as much as I thought I would on the plane because, well, the scene that I got to, it wasn't appropriate, and I was like, ooh, what if people are reading over my shoulder? So I stopped reading. And I believe I'm like 75% of the way through now. I have like 100 ebook pages until the end. I'm honestly over it. Like, I'm so tired of reading it because the plot of it is so boring. Like, I mentioned previously that the guys point of view is way more relevant than the girls. Like, it just focuses on him and his dad drama, and I'm like, this girl also has family drama, but you're pushing her aside because you're like, oh no, this white boy is too stressed to take over his dad's company. It's like, people are dying, Blake. So I wish it was more equally distributed, that they talk about both characters' problems, but it kind of makes sense because the guy's transformation and learning process is more visual, I guess, than the girls, because the girls' changes are very internal and she's having to undo a lot of mental blocks and stereotypes in her mind. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I'm just like, the characters are really bland to me for some reason. I just don't care about them, kind of, which I don't feel often about characters, so I don't know what it is about this story, but I'm just not hooked onto the characters in the story like I usually am for new adults. I don't know when I'm gonna finish it because I have to go shower and unpack and do all this stuff for the work week coming up, but I do anticipate I'm gonna give it like 2.5 stars. Again, I really love the representation. There's a trans character, there's a Chinese character. The guy has an eating disorder, and guys never have eating disorders in books, so I think it's great to have that, but it doesn't have a great plot, so it doesn't make up for it in the end. This vlog is getting pretty long, so I'm just gonna cut it off here. Bye! I've been watching you for some time. Can't stop staring at those ocean eyes. Burning cities and napalm skies. 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. Your ocean eyes, no fair. You really know how to make me cry when you give me those ocean eyes. I'm scared. I never is high, finding your ocean